As the winter months set in, Royal Enfield invited us to California for a taste of their fifth, or should I say sixth, creation of the 650 platform.
So we are in the United States, California to be specific. Now this region has a place called the Big Bear. I don't know if you've heard of it, but Big Bear is known for its arid landscapes, towering pines, the spirit of adventure, and even desert racing. So I think it's the perfect setting to try out Royal Enfield's new beast, the Bear 650. In fact, we are going to be riding it in its natural habitat. And because it has all the bare necessities for an adventure motorcycle, let's see if this Bear can roam around wildly and even attack those winding roads.
California, incidentally, has been chosen as the debut spot for 4 out of these 5 650 launches already, thanks to its sunny skies, scenic roads, and let's be honest, a history closely tied to the Royal Enfield legacy. This latest offering taps right into that heritage. Just outside Los Angeles lies Big Bear, known for its sprawling lake, but more importantly, the Big Bear Run desert races of the 60s, a true motorcycling haven of sorts. We even had the pleasure of hearing all about it firsthand from an old-timer, Eddie Mulders. Now 80, Eddie vividly recalls the smell of fresh dirt and how, at the age of 16, he outran 764 racers on a Royal Enfield 500 with knobby tires. It was a makeshift Scrambler that earned him accolades, launched his racing career and a Hollywood stunt career as well, and put the Big Bear Run on the map for countless young hopefuls. Around the same era, Royal Enfield began exporting the Interceptor to the American market, where the US models came with knobbly tires for a touch of Scrambler spirit. And if I've got the story straight, the American Interceptors were marked with a VAX engine prefix, the X for experimental. And so, inspired by the VAX Interceptor and carrying the Big Bear's legacy in its name, we now have the new Royal Enfield Bear 650. As you would expect, the Bear 650 is a Scrambler interpretation of the Interceptor 650. Frankly, it would have been fun to see Royal Enfield throw the caution to the wind and release a 750 instead, like the VAX Interceptor, to shake up the competition. But Royal Enfield has stuck with their Pro-1 650cc twin-cylinder platform, refining the essentials to make the Bear 650 a serious contender. The Scrambler influence is glaringly obvious. A raised rear fender, race-inspired oval number plate on the side panels, an elevated stance, and of course, those knobbly tires.
So I think the styling is pretty spot on. I really like how they have done this plate. Now this plate cannot be removed, and if I have to go nitpicking, well, if your pillion is going to wear big riding boots, which ideally they should, in that case, this thing gets scratched very easily. Happened to a few of us during the ride. So that is one nitpicking that I'm going to do. But apart from that, I think if you're going to be riding solo with your bag on the back, I think it's just going to complete the look. It just looks brilliant. And for the first time, I actually don't have a favorite color amongst everything that is on offer because everything just looks good. Everything has something that is pulling me towards it. But if I had to choose, it would be the 249 because of the history that it brings to the table. 249 was Eddie's number when he won on a Royal Enfield for the first time at the Big Bear Desert Races. And as a homage to that, Royal Enfield is now putting that on a special edition, top-of-the-line Bear 650, and I think they have done that really well. Apart from the number, what I also like is the painted chassis. That looks really nice. It has a hint of the Royal Enfield trials that they did a little while back, but this one looks a lot fuller with that bigger exhaust and that bigger engine. Now, continuing with the design bits, what differentiates this from the Interceptor is, of course, the Scrambler intent, and that shows off in the design as well. What you get are those knobby tires, 19-inch front, 17-inch rear. You also get a higher ground clearance, and that also has a bearing on the kind of stance that this motorcycle has. It looks slightly better in the black color because you also get those golden forks, so it just makes it look a little beefy. But in every other color as well, it looks either sporty or very scramblery, off-roady. It's got everything going for it.
The Bear 650 sports upside-down Showa forks, similar to the Shotgun 650 but with longer inner tubes. At the rear, you've got conventional Showa shocks, none of that gas-charged business from the Interceptor. allowing 130 millimeters and 115 millimeters of travel front and rear respectively.
Now these tires, they definitely deserve a mention. Yes, they have an uncanny resemblance to the Pirelli Rally STR. But I'm not complaining because out on the road they performed quite well. Even off the road they do quite well. So if you're in the market for these very sizes, and if the Rally STR was on your mind but it wasn't really fitting your pocket, or if it wasn't available because of the problems that we're facing with tires right now in India, I think these MRFs are going to be an excellent viable option, and they're going to save you a ton of money as well.
The Bear 650 rides on tube-type wheels and tires with a 19-inch front and a 17-inch rear combination, giving it a taller stance and a solid 184 millimeters of ground clearance compared to the Interceptor's 18-inch setup. And no, you can't just swap on the Himalayan's tubeless rims here. Different sizes make that a no-go. While some Interceptor owners have tried fitting off-road wheels and tires to create scramblers, getting the Bear's wheels on your Interceptor would need some hub tinkering. The Bear 650 comes with a hollow front hub and a new front rotor while keeping the Interceptor's 320mm disc diameter. At the rear, there's an upgrade to a 270mm disc from the Super Meteor, up from the Interceptor's 240mm. Rider foot pegs are moved forward, with the handlebars slightly raised and pulled back for a more relaxed position, making it easier to stand on rough terrain. The ribbed seat, true to the Scrambler form, is flat but has a slight rear uptick. Royal Enfield has also strengthened the subframe and the neck of the chassis for better load bearing and to make it more rugged for off-road handling. Powering the Bear is the same trusty 650cc twin, retaining the Interceptor's 47 PS output but with an 8% boost in torque, now at 56.5 Newton meters. Royal Enfield says that the whole torque curve has been lifted for a sharper throttle response. The Interceptor was never lacking in mid-range pull, but the Bear makes it better. The third gear lets you cruise at 30 to 40 km an hour without a knock, while fifth gives you a smooth 50 km an hour as well. Even off the road, that extra low-end torque helps tackle terrain, compensating for the Bear's hefty build.
What I also like is they have enough gap between the front fender and those knobbies, and there's a huge gap or a properly high-rise fender at the rear as well. So whether you're attacking just dirt roads or even slush, you should be fine is what I believe. And that fender is very easy to remove, so in the gnarly stuff you should be fine too. Do you want to attack the gnarly stuff with this motorcycle though? Maybe not, because while the ground clearance is an improvement, at 184 millimeters it's still not exactly adventure bike level, right? It's still very scramblery. But at the same time, the weight is only marginally lesser than the Interceptor. Having only one exhaust helps, but as it turns out, not so much because the suspension is still on the heavier side. It's not exactly easy if you're going to be attacking those uphill trails, something very rocky, etc, etc. So I will just keep it for the normal, easier trails.
This is no lightweight, and while it will handle some dirt and shallow river crossings with ease, you might want to think twice about tackling challenging trails. It's not playing in the same sandbox as the X-Pulse, the Himalayan or the 390 Adventure, and needs a seasoned off-road rider to really push it in the challenging terrain. If proper adventure riding is on your radar, the Himalayan 450 remains your best bet. It's lighter, lower, and simply easier to wrangle.
Continuing with that, you also get suspension that is slightly on the stiffer side, but you also get longer travel from the suspension. So in terms of ground clearance and longer travel, it has you sorted when you're going to go off the road. Even the rider ergonomics are going to be slightly different because the foot peg has been pushed in the front a little bit more and the handlebar has been raised a little bit. So remember the concern we had with the Interceptor where we said that the handlebar felt like a bit of a reach? That would be sorted for a few riders at least, depending on what your height is. This one feels a lot more natural, and even when you're standing and riding for those off-road bits, it becomes a lot easier. Of course, in the accessories you also get these panels that you can put on the tank that will help you grip onto the tank much better when you're standing and riding, or even when attacking corners, so you can grip quite nicely when you're braking. So all of that comes together to make it a bike that is enjoyable both around the winding roads and on the trails. So what we began with, Can this roam around freely like a bear? Yes, it can. Can it attack like a bear? Well, it almost can. Maybe not as well as the GT, but it gets by quite well. It will stay on its tail for sure.
The Bear's suspension shines on twisty roads, inspiring confidence up front even with those knobbly tires. The rear can feel firm on quick direction changes, but it holds up well. Wildfires kept us away from the Big Bear, so we had to settle for some of the beautiful roads around the San Bernardino National Forest and the Coachella Valley, which has its fair share of cracked roads, broken shoulders, etc. The Bear soaked up all of that with ease, though you will feel the weight on mid-corner adjustments. But once you get comfortable, it's pure fun in the bends. Remember my enthusiasm in the Shotgun 650 review? Well, the Bear might just take that crown. The braking, despite having the same master cylinder, hoses and the calipers as its siblings, feels enhanced thanks to the suspension, the lighter wheels and the grip from these MRF tires. Hard braking, however, will reveal some tire skipping due to the tread pattern. But I would still stick to these tires. Swapping them out for more road-focused rubber would just strip the Bear of its Scrambler character.
At the same time, I want to test these brakes and these tires back home in India because, like with the Guerrilla, we fell in love with those tires back in Spain, but when we rode the bike in India on our dusty conditions and it was also raining when we tested it, well, those tires started feeling a little weak. I want to see how the MRFs and these updated suspension components feel with the braking back home in the Indian conditions.
The Bear 650's all-round performance is so good, it almost makes the Interceptor and the Continental GT feel like relics. RE might want to either spruce them up or trim their prices before the Bear claws away into their market share. A new Interceptor is definitely on its way with some of the enhancements that you see here. But the spy shots reveal right side up forks, which means it may still leave me wanting, knowing now how good the Showa upside down forks are on the Bear and the Shotgun. With releases like the Shotgun and the Bear though, it's evident that Royal Enfield is stepping away from conventional body styles to plug portfolio gaps with these niche offerings. It's not just about functionality, it's about the emotional appeal. And the Bear 650 captures a bit of both function and flair.
In fact, in terms of the riding gear, they have also tied up with Fuel. Now, Fuel, if you look it up, they do some really cool vintage kind of riding gear. And that goes very well with this motorcycle. Now, why I'm bringing that up is, that's the intent of this bike. It is not really out there to compete with the Scramblers and the adventure motorcycles. It's out there to give you that vintage flavor in the Scrambler body style. And I think that it does really well. And like I mentioned, the other advancements, the other engineering advancements that it has over the Interceptor actually makes this the best 650 that you can buy right now from Royal Enfield. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, still let us know in the comments what do you think and which is the 650 that you would pick up. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and do give us a like and a share.
From an Indian point of view then, the Bear might just be the best Royal Enfield 650 on offer, even if scrambling isn't high on your agenda.